There are not many places in which the dark future in Cyberpunk has not touched, but somehow New Zealand, a small resource poor island nation, emerged as a haven of peace, prosperity and independence, while its neighbour, Australia, spiraled into corporate domination. How did this happen? Today we'll break down how New Zealand carved out its unique position in this dystopian future, contrasting its fate with that of Australia. Kick your feet up and relax while we dive into this lore. New Zealand often gets overshadowed by Australia, both in reality and in the Cyberpunk universe. Australia, with its massive landmass and vast natural resources, became a prime target for corporations. Mining, agriculture and energy sectors drew the attention of megacorps like Arasaka and Kangtao, who essentially purchased the country piece by piece. New Zealand, on the other hand, had none of these corporate draws. Its limited resources and relatively small economy worked in its favour. Corporations didn't see it as a lucrative investment, and as a result, it avoided the full brunt of corporate exploitation. This geographical and economic weakness ironically became New Zealand's greatest strength, allowing it to maintain independence while the rest of the world burned. By 2077, Australia had essentially become a corporate state. Mega corporations controlled vast swaths of land, privatized resources, and manipulated laws to serve their interests. Citizens were reduced to mere cogs in a machine, working long hours for low wages, while the wealthy few lived in fortified corporate enclaves. New Zealand took a very different path. Early on, it adopted an anti-corporate, anti-nuclear and anti-exploitation stance. This wasn't just a slogan, it was a national ethos. The government actively resisted corporate encroachment, creating policies that prioritized citizens' rights over profit. While Australia surrendered to corporate interests, New Zealand doubled down on democratic governance, protecting its people from the chaos sweeping the globe. The global collapse created waves of refugees fleeing war, famine and corporate tyranny. Both New Zealand and Australia faced these crises, but their responses couldn't have been more different. In Australia, the refugee situation was tightly controlled by corporations, who prioritized skilled workers who could serve their interests. If you weren't a scientist, engineer or tech genius, your chances of gaining entry were slim to none. The rest were left to fend for themselves in overcrowded camps or turned away entirely. New Zealand, however, took a humanitarian approach. It allowed legitimate refugees, political dissidents, conscientious scientists and corporate defectors to settle within its borders. These individuals brought their skills, knowledge and ideas, enriching New Zealand's society and helping it maintain technological and cultural advancements. This openness wasn't just altruistic, it was strategic, reinforcing New Zealand's self-sufficiency and independence. And here's the kicker. While the rest of the world abandoned social welfare systems, New Zealand kept theirs intact. In 2077, it still offers welfare programs ensuring a safety net for its citizens, something unheard of in the Cyberpunk universe. Since the 1970s, New Zealand has been a staunch opponent of nuclear power, banning nuclear-powered ships from its ports and adopting strict environmental policies. These policies only strengthened as the world descended into chaos. Environmental activism led by organizations like Greenpeace and Eco Action became a cornerstone of New Zealand's identity. Australia, on the other hand, became a cautionary tale of environmental exploitation. Its resource-driven economy left it vulnerable to ecological collapse. Corporations like Petrochem drained aquifers, leveled forests, and polluted the air and water in their relentless pursuit of profit. The contrast couldn't be any starker. New Zealand stood as a green haven, while Australia became a corporate wasteland. Australia's military infrastructure was largely funded and controlled by corporations. While this gave it impressive firepower, it also deepened corporate control. The military wasn't protecting Australians, it was protecting corporate assets. New Zealand's approach was radically different. The Kiwi Defence Force was developed to repel foreign and corporate interests, with an emphasis on independence. This small but efficient military force, backed by diplomatic ties with Australia's Federal Republic, ensured New Zealand could defend itself without selling its soul to megacorporations. The food crash of the 2000s hit the world hard. In Australia, corporate-controlled agriculture prioritized exports, leaving many citizens to starve while profits soared. New Zealand faced a similar crisis but took a bold, humanitarian approach. Led by a movement spearheaded by Martin Herbert, a priest from Christchurch, the government halted all food exports to ensure its people didn't go hungry. This move marked a turning point, with New Zealand focusing on self-sufficiency. Refugees and scientists helped develop advanced agricultural technologies, ensuring the nation could sustain itself without relying on corporate interference. Of course, no place is perfect, not even New Zealand in 2077. Its relative peace and lack of corporate control made it an attractive target for organized crime cartels. Smuggling, black market cyberware, and illegal trafficking began to take root, challenging the government's ability to maintain order. While the Kiwi Defence Force and law enforcement work tirelessly to combat these threats, organized crime remains a growing problem. In the cyberpunk universe, New Zealand represents what could have been, a nation that resisted corporate greed, prioritized its people, and maintained its sovereignty in the face of global collapse, while its neighbour, Australia, fell victim to corporate exploitation. New Zealand charted a different path, proving that even in a dystopian world, humanity can still thrive. And that's why New Zealand is a haven in Cyberpunk's dark future, a shining example of resilience, independence, and the power of putting people before profit. If you enjoyed this dive into Cyberpunk lore, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos, and let me know in the comments which part of New Zealand's story surprised you. A big thank you to the commenter who suggested this video. Until next time, Tooms, stay safe and stay sharp. I'll see you in the next one.